WNBA athlete that landed on the list. So that means Angel Reese was down somewhere below 10 million bucks. All right. In fact, they do tell us who is number 2 among sports related, like actual team oriented female athletes. Number 2 is Sabrina Ionescu. But as you can imagine, Caitlin.
All right, let's start with something that might genuinely make you stop and stare. Out of the entire list of the top 15 highest paid female athletes in the world for 2025, only one, yes, one, comes from the WNBA. And here's the wild twist. If you've been following the media spin, the storytelling, and all the carefully constructed narratives being blasted online for months, then the identity of that lone WNBA representative is probably going to shock you. Because it is definitely not the athlete the media keeps insisting is the face of the sport. Not the one they claim is driving culture. Not the one they keep telling you is the heart of women's basketball. Nope. It's someone entirely different.
Pouring into women's sports with athletes in basketball, hockey, soccer, softball, and volleyball reaping the rewards. But the top tier of the world's highest paid female athletes is dominated by tennis, and it has been for decades. It has been for decades. The 15 top female athletes in 2025 include 10 tennis players, up from 9 last year, a pair of golfers. Damn, female golfing.
When you break down the earnings, Caitlin Clark brought in a staggering $16 million in 2025, landing her at number 6 in the entire world among female athletes. And here's the part that makes your jaw drop. Only $119,000 of that came from her WNBA contract. Salary plus bonuses. Everything else, the overwhelming majority, was pure endorsement money. Let that sink in. Her basketball paycheck is barely the cost of a nice car, yet companies are pouring in checks so massive they make her league salary look like spare change. Tennis naturally dominates this list with 10 out of 15 spots. Totally expected given its global fan base and massive prize money. But in team sports, Caitlin Clark is in a league of her own. The gap between her and everyone else isn't just large, it's historic.
The top 15 earned is an estimated $249 million this year from prize money, salaries, bonuses, and endorsements. It's up 12%. All 15 earned at least $10 million versus 11 last year and 6 in 2023. The $10.1 million cutoff to crack the list is up from $6.7 million.
Sabrina Ionescu came in as the next highest earning WNBA player, which is impressive, but she still couldn't hit the crucial $10 million threshold required to crack the top 15. And that threshold didn't stay the same. It jumped from $6.7 million in 2024 to $10.1 million in 2025. A massive leap that squeezed out several big names. And this is where things get really revealing. Angel Reese, despite massive media hype, didn't make the list. Aya Wilson, the MVP champion and signature shoe athlete, she didn't make it either. Pause and think about that. What does it say when the league's best player, its biggest winners, and even its most heavily promoted stars can't break $10 million? Yet Caitlin Clark is sitting comfortably at $16 million. That's not just a difference. That's a message.
The skier, Aline Gu, and most of these is from endorsements. Some of the tennis, Coco had $8 million, Sabalenka, $15 million, Simone Biles, $11 million, almost all from endorsements.
Now let's compare Clark's earnings to the tennis titans who traditionally dominate these lists. Coco Gauff sits at number 1 with $31 million. Aryna Sabalenka follows at $30 million. These athletes earn millions in prize money alone, supported by a sport with decades of global infrastructure and billion-dollar media deals. Clark, meanwhile, is operating inside a league that struggles to fill arenas without her, pays its players around $100,000, and is still fighting for stronger TV deals. Yet she's producing endorsement revenue comparable to global tennis superstars. That is unheard of. This raises a critical question. What does this mean for the WNBA? And even more importantly, what does it say about who truly drives interest, growth, and revenue in women's basketball? Because here's the undeniable truth. The numbers don't lie. Brands don't lie. Money doesn't lie. Corporations have spoken loudly and decisively. They value Clark at $16 million. Everyone else at under $10 million. That's not a rivalry. That's not a debate. That's a hierarchy. One built not on media storylines, but on pure, cold market reality.
Most lucrative endorsement deal is New Balance. Man, New Balance got all kinds of athletes on their commercials now. I'm like, wow, it ain't your dad's walking shoe no more, I don't guess. Baker Tilly, Bose, Head, Rolex, Mercedes-Benz, Chase Bank for golf. Let me just come down here. Clark missed 70% of the Indiana Fever's games during the WNBA season as she struggled with injuries, but it was another record.
A shadow-soaked Victorian theater hall bathed in cold moonlight, every corner filled with dust particles floating like frozen secrets. At the center, a grand piano with its lid lifted open, exposing a chaotic maze of disconnected strings and fractured hammers, as if someone violently ripped the music out of its soul. Torn sheets of musical notes lie scattered across the wooden floor, fluttering in a chilling draft that whispers of a vanished performance. Faint traces of perfume linger in the air, mingling with old wood and iron, creating an atmosphere of unresolved tension. In the deep background, a barely visible silhouette stands motionless, watching silently from the shadows, hinting at a mystery waiting to be uncovered. No people visible clearly, only atmosphere.
Falling just short. So if you are to believe what this says, that means Ionescu was somewhere maybe just under the $10 million mark for a WNBA player, which is interesting. That means Angel Reese did not make the cut in the top two at all.
There are moments in a season, in a league, in an entire sport, when silence becomes louder than any headline, louder than any speech, louder than any player's voice. For weeks, that is exactly what the WNBA was living through, a silence so heavy, so suffocating, that even the biggest stars in the game didn't know what to make of it. Rumors swirled like storm clouds. Whispers spread through locker rooms, team buses, late-night phone calls between players who suddenly found themselves wondering what the future of their careers would look like. But now, the silence is finally cracked. Deja Kelly, one of the most recognizable faces of the new generation, one of the players who embodies the shift happening in women's basketball, has stepped forward. And what she revealed has shaken the entire league from the inside out. She didn't give a diplomatic answer. She didn't sugarcoat anything. She didn't hide behind prepared statements or PR-approved lines. She spoke from her gut, and what came out was raw, real, and painfully honest. Deja admitted something that many players had felt but were too afraid to say out loud. She said she is terrified, not worried, not uneasy, not nervous. She used the word terrified, a word that carries weight, emotion, and truth that can't be ignored. And once she said it, the entire league felt the impact like a shockwave, because the possible WNBA lockout isn't some rumor anymore. It's not some negotiation tactic. It's not a headline designed to get clicks. It is real. It is close. And for the players, it is personal. For Deja Kelly and so many others, this isn't just about contracts and paperwork. This is about survival. This is about careers built from childhood dreams, years of sacrifice, hours spent training when the world wasn't watching. These athletes fought through injuries, criticism, long travel, and lower pay, not because it was easy, but because basketball was the only thing they ever wanted. A lockout threatens all of that. It threatens the income of players who don't have million-dollar endorsement deals. It threatens rookies who just tasted their first season and fear they may not get a second. It threatens veterans who don't know if they have one more year left in their legs. It threatens the momentum that women's basketball finally gained, the historic ratings, the surging attendance, the national attention that athletes fought decades to earn. And that's why Deja Kelly's confession hit so hard. Because if she, confident, outspoken, widely supported, admits she is scared, imagine what the rest of the league is feeling right now. The WNBA has reached a moment where every decision, every negotiation, every statement from the league office or the players' union could determine the future of women's basketball for the next decade. And the truth is this: nobody knows what's coming next. But one thing is certain: the silence is over and the fear is real.
The Clark as the latest signature athlete, with a new signature logo, collection of sportswear and apparel, and a signature sneaker to debut in 2026. She joined fellow Nike athletes A'ja Wilson and Ionescu as active WNBA players with signature sneakers. Clark's other sponsors include Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, Peony America, that's trading cards, Hy-Vee, Xfinity, Cambridge, and Lilly.
All right, let's start with something that might genuinely make you stop and stare. Out of the entire list of the top 15 highest paid female athletes in the world for 2025, only one, yes, one, comes from the WNBA. And here's the wild twist. If you've been following the media spin, the storytelling, and all the carefully constructed narratives being blasted online for months, then the identity of that lone WNBA representative is probably going to shock you. Because it is definitely not the athlete the media keeps insisting is the face of the sport. Not the one they claim is driving culture. Not the one they keep telling you is the heart of women's basketball. Nope, it's someone entirely different,